this crazy world. I'm just crawling. I'm just crawling. Niggas, they don't understand. I'm just crawling. I'm just crawling.
Oh shit, now nigga like big fat old sitting up on cornflakes. Like French fries and high cream. Big deal, it's our PA Outcast. The J.O.I. Just let y'all niggas know, forever parents never slipping in my bed. That's how it's gonna be, that's how I'm working the world, that's how it's gonna be in the future, nigga. It's all they ask, so what you wanna do with it? Just bring this shit on, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
There's only so much time left in this crazy world. I'm just crumbling there. I'm just crumbling there. Niggas killing niggas, they don't understand. I'm just crumbling there. I'm just crumbling there. There's only so much time left in this crazy world. I'm just crumbling there. I'm just crumbling there. Niggas killing niggas, they don't understand. I'm just crumbling there. I'm just crumbling there. There's only so much time left in this crazy world. I'm just crumbling there. I'm just crumbling there.
Who is it?
It's me, Dave. Open up, man. I got the stuff.
Who is it?
It's me, Dave, man. Open up. I got the stuff.
Who?
It's Dave, man. Open up. I think the cops saw me come in here.
Who is it?
It's Dave, man. Will you open up? I got the stuff with me.
Who?
Dave, man. Open up.
Dave?
Yeah, Dave. Come on, man. Open up. I think the cops saw me.
Dave's not here.
Open up the door. It's Dave.
Who?
Dave. D-A-V-E. Will you open up the goddamn
Dave?
door? Yeah, Dave.
Dave?
Right, man. Dave. Now, will you open up the door?
Dave's not here.
Oh.
Once again, the powers of the herb open up the mind. Seek deep inside. Tell me what you find. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, this is it. Oh, yeah.
Everybody need it. Marijuana, marijuana. Do you wanna give me love when I put the flame on ya? Homie, I'm the one with the shotgun in the closet. Next to the glass bags full of chronic. Don't you be stepping with your hands open, asking me, can I get a hit of what you smoking? I ain't got no kind of love for a brother who comes to the party with no bud. I be the smoking that's end up blazing. Fuck Buddha, everybody wanted it. Now they talk about the hooter. Up until the summer of 91, wasn't no motherfuckers talking about smoking blunts. From the west coast to the east coast, everybody be bragging, but I'm the one who be popping most. First I started with the nickel, then the dime, then the 20. spending up all my money. Never roll with the nail gold, with the pound in the pad, smoking up the endo. You just take a deep breath, get it then pass it to the left. Keep the motherfucking stress, smoke it up, just pump it up. Oh yeah, light it up, then put your spliff up in the air. Smoke another air, smoke another air, smoke another air. Everybody smoke another air. Everybody smoke another air. Pop another air. I wanna smoke another air. Pop another air. I wanna smoke another air. The air. You wanna smoke another air. Smoke another air. You wanna smoke another air.
Yeah, as I stroll the ways of the Buddha Master, brings me to the temple of Boom. I see people everywhere starting to understand the point. When I'm talking about the joint, talking about that body right now, talking about the sense, talking about the kind, more time, Bacaloa, Maui, Luger, award winning, the Mexican diva, Chico John, yes guy, humble pound, the brick, the chocolate time, the Afghani, the Michoacan, the Indo, the spoon gun, the bad breath sense. Hello everyone, I'm Kurt Loaded. We're here at Hemp TV, where we're Cypress Hill in Amsterdam, and we're listening to their new album. I'm Stone. I'm out of here. Goodbye, folks.
Yeah, that's good music.
All right, we're back. Thanks for staying with us. You're officially listening to episode number 414, Planet Green Trees. The remote broadcast.
Call-in numbers 224-803-3098.
The name of the show is On the Smoky Trail, significant of the fact that we are on the road at Grow Green in lovely Michigan, being hosted by the great staff here, doing a live broadcast. We do have live music upcoming, I understand. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. It's a surprise. Don't let the cat out of the bag.
Okay, fine. We have news coming up later. Potentially Alan Peisner calling. I do want to...
Where is he? I thought he was coming.
Do a shout-out for Alan Peisner.
I thought he was supposed to be here.
Like that when we do that. Jeff Frazier's returning to his position. Tony's here. And so we're on segment number 2 here. State of the Union, Michigan, with marijuana. Go.
Well, 2019 is a dynamic year. Not only do we have progress on the hemp front, we have MMFLA businesses being licensed, and we have regs being formulated for legalization proposals, or the businesses. We also are going to lose the 3%, the 3% medical tax on cannabis sales as of March 9. And until licensing and regulatory affairs gets the legalized market up and running, technically Michigan will be collecting, other than sales tax, they'll be collecting no excise tax on cannabis sales at all.
True. And I would add that it appears as though the new leadership, the new executive leadership, our governor and our attorney general are so far looking pretty good for us coming out of the gates, only a little over a month in.
Well, I know Rick's going to talk about the story regarding the testing and whatnot, but in general, they've relaxed some of what was deemed troubling to the consumer levels of whatever contaminants, what have you, and in a more reasonable approach. It can't be overlooked that the State of the Union of marijuana in Michigan, in terms of its regulation through the state, it's a failure. I mean, we know that, right? The design is not operative. They have continuously had to rely upon the caregivers who have heroically supplied the patients through dispensaries, even though it was criminalized, villainized, grounds for forfeiture for 10 years. I can attest to that.
Accepted and very functional in many areas over a long period of time. Also.
Randomly and unfairly, but nonetheless, now honored and potentially licensed for that same behavior. And I just point that out because it's important that in looking at where we are right now, that these events took place. I'm not saying by making those comments that those that were benefactors of being in regions and areas,
the places that weren't allowing it were being unfair. Would be the only difference I would make.
And as we do and honor the caregivers today, unequivocally those persons should be relieved of what they've had to go through, whether it be convictions or that should be a no-brainer. I think the fact that the governor has gone as far as to, even rewrite it differently than the way Lara had, the new go-around in terms of identifying caregivers as part of the supply here. But hopefully with time, I know that there's been some discussions about that, but I would say that despite the fact that the MMFLA has arguably been by design a failure, it has done something quite significant in that it has taken those that have been vilified as caregivers and honored them. And it can be said, I think the fact that we are all thinking about the possibility of caregivers being part of the regulated system, whatever that may be, today, from a year ago or 2 years ago, when they created the MMFLA, that was arguably the beginning of the end for the caregiver system, right? Once they created 1500 Grow, clearly the MMA is a competitor. It's a market that's competing.
Yes.
And do you think the state's going to be down with having a competitive market right there, that's had organically, and can compete at a level that, I don't think the state can, quite frankly.
They're not, and everybody loves, my good friend from the east side, Jim Fouts, and I just saw him recently in the media talking about this exact issue and how the city wants to approach the legislature about amending the act to remove the growing from the neighborhoods. That's what he keeps saying, people are growing in the neighborhoods. And I find it really ironic because at the end of the day, Jim Fouts has been no friend of marijuana retail or any other operation in the city of Warren and has served to be a complete obstructionist on that front. But somehow he expects that the marijuana will just vaporize from the neighborhoods without having an established system on Main Street. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That was the press conference where he was seen changing the diaper of his date?
Yes, it may have been. I don't know.
He's an older gentleman who's notorious for dating younger women, and in fact recently mentioned something, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, about going to a European country and favoring it because that's where the young women are easily bought and sold.
Not an older